Hi, I'm David Matthews and I'm in the Beach Ministry area. And I've been asked to talk to you a little bit about joy. I will talk to you about joy. I want to invite you to connect with joy yourselves, because joy is central to our life in Christ. In his great prayer given to us in the Gospel of John, Jesus prays that his joy will be in us. I wonder how you feel when this priest says, "Be joyful." Is the joy in your life? And is the joy in your life connected to faith? Will there be joy in the worship tomorrow when you gather with God's people? Now, if you feel it, you feel it. If you don't, let me imagine how you might. Let me bring you to Nehemiah chapter 8, verse 10 in the scriptures. And in that Ezra-Nehemiah narrative, these words are said: "The joy of the Lord is your strength." Now, it was all very well for them. Well, if you actually look at what's going on in that narrative, there are all sorts of reactions in the room. There are lots of people crying, lamenting, weeping over how it used to be and how it might be in the future. Any echoes in ministry areas? And there were some people there quite excited about what was coming up. And Nehemiah didn't say, well, you just be how you are and we'll get there. He pointed them to a strength that comes from God, which is joy. So joy is significant. It's our strength. We can find strength when we turn to God and allow ourselves to be caught into who God is as we worship and as we live and as we simply go about the business of who we are. So joy is a gift that comes from God. It's not something we create in ourselves. It's not happiness. Believe me, when you're a ministry area leader, as I am, you're not always happy. And in fact, none of us is always happy, but we can always be in touch with joy. And joy is a means whereby we can be strengthened when we're not feeling it. Why? Because joy is an encounter. We meet joy in the intersection between the presence of God and each other. We meet joy in God. We meet joy also in our culture. In our culture, simply living in Wales 2024, as well as our cultures in our churches. Simply being present and knowing that God is present too brings us hope. But we have to trust that we can be lifted out of how we see things and how we feel things into the reality of God. And remember, Jesus promised us that it would be something, the joy would never be taken away. So, maybe you imagine that there's no joy. You're imagining it. The joy of God is there. What steals your sense of joy? That's something that's very important to be attentive to, is what is stealing my joy? What is stealing our joy in the ministry area? What is stealing a sense of joy in this room? And how do you work against that sense of joy being taken from you? As well as looking at what steals it, what sustains it? How can the joyful presence of God be sustained in who and how you are? Very important questions to think about. What steals, what sustains our joy? And then the realization that joy is a choice. In that passage in Ezra-Nehemiah, the people are being challenged to make the choice. Are you going to stay in your misery? What is it about church that people think they make their way to church when they're miserable? Church is the place where I come to funerals. No, it's not. That's part of it. But church is a community where our culture includes the joyful presence of God, even if we're not feeling good. So we can choose to trust, to believe in God's fulfillment, and allow that sense of the bubbling presence of God beyond ourselves to lift us to the truth that God's joy is always with us. Joy is God's gift. The choice is ours. And the truth is that when it comes to joy, as part of our culture as churches, and joy in God, we use it or we lose it. Be joyful.